38, 4E, shaken and stirred. The heading Shaken and Stirred is a play on the famous quote from James Bond, shaken, not stirred. He preferred his martini cocktails shaken instead of stirred. So, have you seen any James Bond movies? Do you like James Bond movies? And who was your favourite James Bond actor? Well, if we look at these photos here in the textbook, we can see that all these photos were taken from some action movies. And in the first exercise, we describe what is happening in the first photo, photo 1. We use the words and phrases car, fly, river, upside down. So the car is flying over the river upside down. Photo 2, we have words hang, sign, building. We can say that the actor is hanging from a sign next to a tall building. What about photo 3, fly, kick in the air? Yes, the actor is flying and kicking in the air. Do you know these movies? I'll read through the text, or you can listen to your CD. Decide which stunt here is the most dangerous. What do you think is dangerous? Well, if you ask me, I think number 1 is very dangerous. Anyway, in the early days of cinema, actors did their own stunts. Stars in silent films like Charlie Chaplin and Buster Keaton took great risks to make their films funny. They thought it was part of a comedian's job. Buster Keaton's most famous stunt was in Steamboat Bill Jr., 1928. The wall of a house falls on Keaton, but he isn't hurt because he's standing exactly where an open window lands. It was a very dangerous stunt, however, and insurance companies soon started asking for stuntmen and women to take the place of the actors. The stunt industry was at its best in the films of the 70s and 80s. The brave or mad stuntmen and women did more and more amazing things. The James Bond films were famous for stunts. In The Man with the Golden Gun, 1974, Bumps Willard as James Bond drives a car off a bridge and turns it over in the air. At the start of GoldenEye, Wayne Michaels bungee jumps 250 meters from the top of an enormous dam. He said he didn't know if it was possible until he tried. The stunts were often shown in slow motion to make them seem even more fantastic. However, many stunts were extremely dangerous. In the Bond film Live and Let Die, 1973, stuntman Ross Kananga walks on crocodiles to get across a river. The last crocodile bit his foot. Some stuntmen and stuntwomen even lost their lives doing stunts. In Top Gun, 1986, the stunt pilot Art Scholl was killed in an air crash. And in the 1995 film Vampire in Brooklyn, stuntwoman Sonia Davis died after falling from a high building. Many people criticized the film industry for her death. At the same time, computer-generated imaging, CGI, was developed so that filmmakers could create amazing special effects in the film studio which were too dangerous to film on location. Nowadays, most films use both CGI and stunt work, and many actors prefer to do their own stunts. For The Matrix 1999, Keanu Reeves trained for 6 months to do the amazing fight scenes. In the Bond film Quantum of Solace 2008, Daniel Craig jumps off buildings onto moving buses. But who is the best stunt actor of all? Film critics say martial arts expert Jacki Chan, who has survived crazy stunts in over 100 films. Okay, so number 3, read the text. That's what we've just done. Match headings 1 to 6 with paragraphs A to D. There are 2 headings that you do not need. So number 1, the golden age of stunts. The golden age of stunts is B1. B1. Number 2, special effects can't replace stunts. This does not exist. Number 3, stunts were part of an actor's job. A3. Number 4, a mix of real stunts and computer generating imaging is D4. Number 5, actors refuse to do stunts. This does not exist. And number 6, too many accidents, C6. On page 39, number 4, multiple choice answer. We choose which one is correct. So, in the early days, actors stopped doing their own stunts. Is it A, because stuntmen and women started doing them instead? Is it B, because they were actors, not comedians? C, because actors didn't think it was their job? Or D, because of the pressure from insurance companies? Yes, if you guessed D, that is correct. So for number 1, D. Number 2, the stunts in the 1970s and 1980s A were only good because they were in slow motion. B, were mostly in Bond films. C, were the most impressive of all. Or D, were sometimes too dangerous to attempt. Number 2 is C. 2C. Number 3, in one Bond film, a stuntman A, refused to do a stunt because it was impossible. B, tried to do a stunt but failed. C, wasn't sure if a particular stunt was possible. Or D, thought he might die. If you guessed C, you are right. So it is 3C, wasn't sure if a particular stunt was possible. Number 4, CGI stunts were developed. A, to create spectacular but safe stunts in the studio, because people were critical of the film industry. C, because stuntmen and women refused to risk their lives. D, because real stunts were too dangerous. If you guessed A, you are correct, so it is 4A, to create spectacular but safe stunts in the studio. Number 5, modern actors A, prefer to use CGI for stunts. B, often like to perform their own stunts. C, don't want CGI in their films. Or D, don't do stunts on location. So it is 5B, often like to perform their own stunts. Number 5, complete the compound nouns and phrases with the words below, then check your answers in the text. Effects, film, industry, location, woman, motion, scene and studio. Number 1, silent film, paragraph A. Number 2, slow motion, paragraph B. 3, stunt woman, paragraph C. Number 4, film studio, paragraph C. 5, special effects, paragraph C. 6, film industry, paragraph C. 7, on location, paragraph C. 8, fight scene, paragraph D. When we look at photo number 2, we can see a famous actor called Jacki Chan. I thought you might like to know that critics think that the most spectacular stunts carried out are actually by Jacki Chan, and especially during a film called Police Story. After fighting his way through glass in a shopping mall, Chan jumps onto a pole and slides down 30 meters through exploding Christmas tree lights, goes through a wood and glass partition, and falls onto a hard marble floor. Unbelievably, he only had bruises and burns on his hands, despite the dangerous nature of the stunt. And finally, in our workbook on page 34, 4E, shaken and stirred. We do exercise number 1, and it matched the words in the box with meanings from 1 to 8. Okay, we have phrases like fight scene, film industry, film studio, on location, silent film, slow motion, special effects, stuntman, stunt woman. And that's all for now. Bye-bye.